Now,
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll go to the phone lines like usual. Yeah. Um I think this is gonna be a good show.
yeah, the AP 25 just dropped, so
Alright, we could talk about that. Even though I don't go by the AP poll
well, no, well,
when
we're not actually gonna be able to because of
the CFP rankings.
yeah, because BYU right now is in that 4 seed or is in the 3 seed, and they're only ranked seventh.
Okay.
But I mean that answers the question too, because right now they have Miami as the 12 seed and Boise as the 13.
Where do they have Georgia? At 6, right?
11.
Jesus. And where do they have Tennessee?
6.
Okay.
Uh, the top 5 is Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indy,
Yeah.
and then Tennessee.
I hopefully Indy is over Penn State though.
Penn State is 4, Indy's 5,
Okay.
but I have a feeling they're only putting that because of what's it called, of how the win was, how they won.
Mm-hmm.
Because Michigan, Michigan put up a actual fight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me just do one more quick thing. I want to actually get some power index stuff in here. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Power index. They have Alabama ranked the best in the power index.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But okay, we're live on Twitch. I hit record, so we are all good to go. Whenever you're ready, I'll give it the countdown.
All right, here, let me just make sure I got everything up on my end. College. Yeah, I got the ESPN.com up. I'm good. I'm clear here. Let me just scoot in. I'm bald again. Um,
hey,
yeah, dude, people think I look younger now.
hey, use it to your advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
It's Monday. It's a new week. I hope you guys all had an amazing weekend. Last week was election week. All that is over, and we're not getting into any more of that. But good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is Monday, November 11th, 2024, and it is Veterans Day. So happy Veterans Day to all who have served, all who are serving now, and a future happy Veterans Day to all who will be serving in these next couple of years. Just thought I'd start the show off that way. Welcome to another episode of Monday Evening Quarterback. My name is Christian Simpson, and I am the creator. I'm the founder. I'm the NFL slash college football analyst. I'm a blogger. I'm a radio contributor, and I'm just an all around football junkie. And I started a brand called the Daily Blitz on September 6th, 2010. And we specialize in all things football 24/7, 365. Again, if you've been here and if you've been following along from the get go, as always, I sincerely thank you. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If you were referred to me, thank you for taking the referral, and thank you to anybody who referred you to me. I hope you can sit back, relax, kick your feet up and listen to what we're about to bring you. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, Blog Talk Radio, and the Nerdport Network. And speaking of the Nerdport Network, for I don't know, the second consecutive week, I'm not alone again. Ronnie, what's going on?
Oh, well, the world's not burning yet.
No, it's not, but you sound like you got a lot on your mind.
Well, let's just when we start diving into college, we'll get into it
Yeah,
because
and before we dive into anything, if you are liking what you are hearing, make sure you like, you share, and you subscribe to the podcast so you can keep up with us. All right, I got all that good stuff out the way. It's gonna be a fun show. Week 11 of college football is officially in the books. Week 10 of the NFL will conclude tonight in Los Angeles. Miami Dolphins, Los Angeles Rams, Jalen Ramsey facing his former group. Remember, he won a Super Bowl with the Los Angeles Rams just a couple of years ago. And I'm gonna look ahead to a pretty exciting slate of games that I'm gonna be previewing next week on the site. As you guys know, I always release what I am previewing on Tuesday, so you will see that tomorrow. But yeah, let's dive right in. College football, week 11. Ronnie, there were two upsets,
Two very big upsets.
to say the least. Let's start with the Miami Hurricanes.
Oh, you mean the team that I've been calling fake for since Vatek?
Hey, you ain't the only one, because I haven't really been impressed with them. Are they great offensively? Yes, but it's their defense that struggles. And I was talking to my cousin the other day, and we were talking about this on Friday, and I said, if anything, I think Syracuse is more of a trap game for the Hurricanes than Georgia Tech. But boy, was I wrong as hell.
And Mario Cristobal didn't mess the game up for him.
Yeah. With that being said, Georgia Tech won this game 28-23. Cam Ward had a good game. 25 of 39, 348 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But what's the common thing that we always see with football teams, and when a team loses, who's the first person they blame?
Quarterback.
The quarterback. And last time I checked,
or the head coach.
Yeah, and last time I checked, the quarterback doesn't play defense.
No.
I'm just saying. Cam Ward did what he did. 25 of 39, 348 yards, and 3 touchdown passes.
So, I was at another football game. I was at the Rutgers game. So, I only saw this through the box score.
Mm-hmm.
This box score makes no sense.
Why do you say that?
So, when it comes to everything, what is it? Miami only turned the ball over one time.
Mm-hmm.
But, like you said for Cam Ward, it's that. But when you go and look at Georgia Tech, 11 for 16, 99 yards. 48 rushing attempts for 271.
That, to me, is the difference maker. Like, I keep telling people, running the ball pays dividends. And you see who was the leading rusher for Georgia Tech, right?
Yeah, their backup quarterback.
Haynes King. 20 carries, 93 yards. I remember when he played at Texas A&M.
Yeah, and 6 for 6 for 32 yards passing.
But the problem with Miami all year long has been their defense. We knew it was going to shoot them in the foot eventually.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is you let a team only pass, like, this was old school Georgia Tech. This was the Golden Tate Georgia Tech teams. If anyone remembers that name.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
But like
when you lose a game like this, you can either learn from it and build your way back up from it, or you can stay down. I'm really curious to see where Miami's gonna go.
But also too, it's a very I want to say this is also a very false final, because Miami didn't get that touchdown until the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, but it just seemed like Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech went into the half with the lead, 14-10.
Yeah.
Then going into the fourth quarter, it looks like, I'm trying to do the math right here in my head. So 16.
I got it right here. So
it looked like Georgia Tech went into the fourth quarter with a 21-16 lead.
Yes. And then they scored a touchdown, and then with 6 minutes left in the game, Miami scored the last their next touchdown, and that was it.
Right. Dare I say it? Did Miami overlook Georgia Tech, or did this game have trap game written all over it?
Well, the question is too is we didn't know what Georgia Tech we were going to get.
And that's the thing. It seems like Georgia Tech does this every year.
Because, I mean, we asked the same question at the beginning of the year. Was Georgia Tech beating Notre Dame, or not Notre Dame, beating Florida State? Was that, like, looking at it now, realizing how bad Florida State is.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, is that was that the actual Georgia Tech team, or what?
Yeah, these are questions that definitely need answers. But I don't know. This is a huge win for Georgia Tech. Congrats to them getting that quality win of the year. Georgia Tech is 6-4.
Yeah, Georgia Tech is bowling.
They're bowling. Miami's 9-1, and they're 5-1 in conference play.
But they have already. Here's the problem with that. With that loss, they have officially played themselves out right now of the ACC the ACC title game.
Yeah.
Because right now, sitting at the top of the board is SMU and Clemson.
Interesting.
And Miami sees Wake Forest and Cuse next.
To close the season out.
So they need help. They need Clemson. They got at Pitt, and that game means everything also to Pitt. The Citadel, and then they close out with the rivalry game with South Carolina.
Yeah.
And then SMU closes out with BC at Virginia, and then Cal. Virginia's the only BC and Virginia are trapped. Those are the games. I mean, I don't know.
This is going to be interesting because the ACC, there's a huge game in the ACC this upcoming weekend.
Yeah.
Clemson and Pittsburgh, and I think I know a certain somebody that might be previewing that game tomorrow. I ain't gonna say no names, but
I mean, if Pittsburgh needs to win out to have a chance, but if you're Miami, you're rooting for Pittsburgh.
You definitely are. You definitely are, because if the ACC championship game were to be held today, I think SMU.
It's SMU. It's SMU Clemson.
Crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
Ain't it? Ain't that something?
Yeah, I mean they played themselves with that loss. They played themselves out, and I think even right now, could you also see the committee looking at them and being like, I can't even give you, even if you got in, I can't get you you're not getting a bye. The ACC is not getting a bye.
Right.
I cannot see in good faith that the ACC will be getting a bye. We'll get one of the 4 seeds out of this. I think Boise State might be getting one of them.
Yeah.
Well, they're the only group of 5 that I could actually see getting the nod.
Yeah, definitely. This is football. You got to expect the unexpected. Anybody can truly be beat. I could say the same about some things in the NFL, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Now, let's go to the other upset, shall we?
Now, as much as this is an upset by ranking, this to me is not really a catastrophic upset.
It's not catastrophic necessarily, but come on, how many times have we, both of us, have said either on the air or off the air, Georgia is the bully?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Ole Miss came in and punched them in the mouth. But, like, this also raises the question now, does Kiffin leave? Because he's doing such a great job with Ole Miss, does he go and look for a job possibly in Florida? Or does he stick around? Like, now this is...
Right. Now, what Ronnie's referring to, the Ole Miss Rebels handed Georgia their second loss of the year. Georgia hasn't lost more than one game since 2020. That just should go to show you how good and how doggone dominant the Bulldogs have been. Right?
Yeah.
This is the biggest win of Lane Kiffin's career. I don't think he ever beat a top 5 ranked team until Saturday.
Didn't he beat Saban one year?
You may be right.
Did when he wasn't the coach when he had Eli, right?
No, he wasn't.
I think he beat. You know what? That's a good research question. I want to say Kiffin beat Saban one year.
Yeah.
If not in the SEC, he might have done it with USC.
Look, I've been saying this all year. I said this when I wrote my preview for this game, and I think I said it to you on the betting window last Wednesday. Georgia's just not the same team. I don't fear them like I once did, because they just seem a little vulnerable, quite frankly, on both sides of the ball. Carson Beck is turning the ball over left and right, 20 of 31, 186 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception. And Georgia couldn't get the running game going. That was the difference to me, because Ole Miss attacked the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. As a team, Ole Miss finished with 134 yards on 36 carries. Now, Jackson Dart, who I've been very high on these last couple of years, he got hurt early on in this game. And I'm saying to myself, okay, how healthy is he going to be? Because, Ronnie, you know it and I know it. The worst thing you can do is play football, not only in the conditions, but when you have a leg injury.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he had an ankle injury, but he was in control. 13 of 22, $199, 1 touchdown, and did throw the 1 interception. But Ole Miss defense won this game for them.
Oh, yeah.
They threw a lot of different exotic looks at Carson Beck, and they bottled up the running game, and they said, look, Carson is going to beat us. He's going to throw this football as many times as he can to put us over the top. This is a big win for Ole Miss. And I remember when I did my college previews during the summer, I had an Ole Miss Georgia conference title game in Atlanta.
Yeah, right now, if we ended it today, it's Tennessee. And right now, A&M is there, but it's going to be the winner of A&M Texas versus Tennessee.
Wow. Crazy, ain't it?
Yeah, and I think it depends on who Tennessee plays. The same Tennessee play A&M? No, Tennessee plays Georgia. So it could be Georgia and the winner of A&M Texas.
Yeah, and I know somebody who might be previewing Tennessee and Georgia this upcoming week as well.
I mean, what's terrifying, though, is Ole Miss and Alabama are not out of the woods yet. They need help, but they're not out of the wood.
I'm so glad you said that, because that is the next game I wanted to talk about. Alabama, LSU. Now, let me tell you guys something. Ever since when I first started, I just analyzed the NFL, right? Then I found myself getting accustomed and finding a liking for the college game. Okay. 2012, I decided to fully start analyzing college football as well. And the thing I like about the college game is just the historic rivalries. You get what I'm saying, Ronnie?
Oh, trust me. I've been following college football since the 90s, so.
Same here. And, you know, I've been fortunate to preview Michigan and Ohio State, the game. I've been fortunate to do Red River. I've been fortunate to do Alabama and Georgia. Each time when they've even played in the SEC championship and the national championships that they've met in. Um, I've done the third Saturday in October, which is Alabama and Tech in Tennessee. Here, throw out some rivalries, Ronnie, and
Oh,
maybe I'll see if
oh
I've
God.
done Bedlam. I've done Bedlam.
Bedlam, Army, Navy.
That one I've never previewed.
This year we might.
Yeah, this
This
year I might.
this year you might, because if they're one,
You know,
I mean,
I've done Michigan, Michigan State.
Civil War, Apple Cup.
I did the Civil War for the first time last year.
Yeah, you got the Apple Cup. You got the
Washington State, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I've done that as well. But
you the one you I know one you never done is the Battle for the Fremont Cannon.
who's that again?
Nevada, UNLV.
Oh, okay. But one that
Trust me, if you want me to start pulling out a good old fashioned hate.
I've done that. I did that once. That's at Auburn in Georgia.
Nope.
Oh, Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Yeah. Nah, I've done the Deep South's oldest rivalry. I've done the Iron Bowl. So I've been fortunate to preview some pretty solid matchups.
World's largest cocktail party.
Yeah, I've done that. I did that last year. But there's one that always stands out to me. The Saban Bowl.
Yeah.
Alabama, LSU, and there's so many rivalries between these two. So many memories. I remember that game in 2011 where it was like 9-6, a true defensive struggle. Then I remember them meeting in that national championship, and I don't think LSU crossed the 50-yard line once in that damn game. I remember 2019, Joe Burrow going into Tuscaloosa and pretty much sealing up his Heisman Trophy. And the one they played in 2022, Brian Kelly's big signature win. Even last year, between Jalen Milroe and Jaden Daniels, I thought both quarterbacks were about to run for 200 yards.
Right.
But the one on Saturday was truly an elimination game. The winner saw greener pastures for their playoff hopes while the loser was eliminated. And boy, did Alabama make a statement on Saturday night. This is the best I've seen them look all year long. Because they didn't let up and they didn't let their foot off the gas. They finally played like a Nick Saban team, Ronnie. Jalen Milroe, 12 of 18 for 109 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. But guess who the leading rusher was for Alabama?
Oh, it was Milroe.
12 carries, $185.
Yeah.
And 4 touchdowns. Alabama as a team ran the ball for 311 yards. They played like grown men.
Yeah.
I want to say this about Brian Kelly, and I don't know if you'll agree with me on this one, but Brian Kelly, to me, he's just a good coach. I don't know if I can put him in that elite conversation because he always struggles in big games, such as this. Why do you think Notre Dame never really got anywhere?
Right.
He struggles against those top-ranked opponents, and the one thing I notice about a Brian Kelly team is they have these types of games at least 2 or 3 times a year under him. And what I mean by that is they'll look completely dominant in the first half, and then they're nowhere to be found in the second half. LSU struggled to run the football all year long. Caden Durham, 63 yards on 8 carries. That's not bad. He averaged almost 8 yards a carry. But feed him the ball. You get what I'm saying? Kyron Lacy was your leading receiver. 79 yards receiving on 5 receptions. Thought they'd get Mason Taylor the ball a little bit. That is the son of the Hall of Famer, Jason Taylor. 4 receptions, 50 yards. But Alabama was just in control. And what do I always say? When you're a team that's on the road, not only are you facing the other team, you're facing the fans as well. And Death Valley is one of the toughest places to play in the country. And they went in there and they just threw punches and they won the dogfight. Coming into this game, I just said to myself, I trust Jalen Milroe more than I do Garrett Nussmeier. And Garrett Nussmeier, I just stumbled on my words there. Garrett Nussmeier, his stats weren't bad, minus the interceptions, 27 to 42, 239 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Kyron Lacey did catch that lone touchdown, but what an effort from Alabama. They heard the talking, and I think they did like The Last Dance, and they took it personally.
Yeah, I could say that. You could definitely say that. I mean, Alabama came out and kicked their teeth down their throat.
Yeah.
But there is one rivalry game that we missed, and we got to dive into.
Okay.
And it's one that happened.
I'll let you lead this one.
And it happened last night. I completely forgot to add the Holy War.
Oh, it happened on Saturday?
On Saturday,
BYU
right.
in Utah?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
BYU escaped with a 1-point victory.
Okay.
Now, if you actually watch the game, there was a lot of controversy behind this because BYU should have never had a chance to finish that drive.
Mm-hmm.
Because of a late timeout by BYU on 4th down. Now, the problem is not the fact that the timeout came in. It has everything to do with the play was nearly done when the timeout got called.
Right.
And then it leads to a defensive holding. Right call, but questionable.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was right around 5 yards. So it's like, all right, right call, fine, whatever. And then they drove down the field, led to a field goal to get the game out, to win out.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is BYU should have never had this chance, and they got the game pretty much taken from them. And a lot of people are upset about it.
Right.
But, I mean, it's the Holy War. It's one of the biggest rivalry games
in that state.
Like, if people don't know why it's called the Holy War, do your research on this because it goes back further than it's more than college football.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I don't want to dive too much into this because it doesn't need to be. But these two teams hate each other.
I'm announced.
Right.
I mean, they are not. They can't stand each other. It's the Mormons versus the Catholics. That's pretty much all you need to know.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I see. It was a really close game. BYU, Utah. BYU won 22-21. Yeah, the wheels are just really falling off for Utah because I thought Utah was going to be at the top of this conference by now, but they're 4-5. All 5 of their losses have come in conference play.
Yeah. I mean, their defense is not playing well. Usually when we were talking about this, if you were going into Utah to play the Utes, usually that was a death sentence. Playing at home was nearly impossible to win. Or playing on the road was nearly impossible to win for BYU. Or not BYU, for Utah. And BYU came out and squeaked one out. Granted,
yeah,
they shouldn't have, but they did.
BYU was 9-0.
BYU is a questionable 9-0.
Yeah, I could say that about another team that's 9-0 in the NFL, but we'll get to them.
Well, I mean, when you block a couple kicks.
Yeah, but don't worry, we'll get to that.
But, like, look at okay, so going back and looking at BYU. They won at SMU 18-15. Beat
Okay.
Wyoming, which by 20. Wyoming's not a good team.
Okay.
Beat Kansas State. All right, fine. They were 13, 38-9. That's a good win. At Baylor, they had to come back and beat Baylor. You know what? I'll say this. You know what this team really reminds me of?
Who?
TCU.
When they went to the Natty a couple years ago?
Yes. They're beating the teams by enough to get by.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute they play the next tier of teams, it's game over.
Right.
Because they beat UCF in the bounce house by a touchdown. They beat Utah by 1 at Utah. They beat Oklahoma State by 3. Then they beat Arizona by a good amount, and they have Kansas at home, at Arizona State, and home against Houston. This team will go undefeated and will get a bye if they beat Colorado. We'll get to them.
Yes, we will. You know who I want to give a little bit of love to?
Oh.
Because not a lot of people are doing it. How about those doggone Indiana Hoosiers?
Yeah, the Stigs found their way into the top 5.
Kurt Cignetti is your coach of the year. Indiana is 10-0 for the first time in
Ever.
school history. That's crazy. They play hard. And look, it wasn't pretty on Saturday against Michigan, but they got the job done. They escaped with a 20-15 with a 20-15 victory. Some other scores. Texas handling Florida 49-17. Quinn Ewers threw 5 touchdown passes. Penn State bouncing back against Washington 35-6. Drew Allard 20 of 28. 220 yards and 1 touchdown. Where was this against Ohio State?
Yeah.
Tennessee handling their business against Mississippi State by a score of 33-14. Nico Iamaleava. I got so much better saying that now. 8 of 13, 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. When Josh Heupel has this offense going through Dylan Sampson, they win games.
We didn't even talk about that upset. Kansas beating Iowa State.
You mean, yeah.
And Virginia beating Pittsburgh.
Crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pittsburgh fell short to Virginia 24-19, and Iowa State fell short to Kansas 45-36. So no defense was played in Lawrence. It was a can of alphabet soup without one letter.
D. There's more O's than D's.
Absolutely. But Colorado, 7-2. They're 5-1 in Big 12 play. They control their destiny, their playoff destiny, y'all. They beat up on Texas Tech 41-27. Minus tortillas being thrown on the field. Did you hear what Deion said about that?
Yeah, he goes, I've been thrown
They threw everything at me but my mama. And you know what? I'm with them.
So, I can't stand how Deion... his coaching's great. He's being a great coach. If it wasn't for Cignetti, he might win Coach of the Year.
I agree.
The problem, though, is I see these guys not transferring well to NFL because of their attitude on the field.
Mm-hmm.
This team wants to be the villain because Deion's the villain. That's great. But the minute you don't show up in the NFL, because they're going to see how you play now and see how you almost want to fit literally you're a wrestling heel, a bad guy, guess what? That don't translate that no one's going to take you. No one's going to touch you. And that goes double for Shedeur.
Absolutely.
The only one that has any kind of and I'll say this, the only one that has any kind of, like, well-being when it comes to the defense is Shiloh.
Yeah, he's the enforcer.
Yeah, but he's not, but he's the silent killer. He's not sitting there pointing at his wrist, making gestures to the crowd, trying to get everyone in. No, he just hits you, next play. Hits you, next play. He is the silent killer. He's the one that's going to get drafted, and if he has a bad, say if he has a bad NFL career, no one's going to dog him for it.
Right.
But because Shedeur or Hunter's the exception to this rule because he plays both sides of the ball.
Closest thing I've seen to Charles Woodson.
Yeah. But, like, oh, this defense is so good. Right. Until they get to the pros.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same argument with we can't have these people looking up to these kids. Or the kids looking up to these guys. Well, yeah, but it's college. They're going to look up to them because they're younger.
Yeah. But nah, just a huge turnaround for Colorado. Won that game Saturday, as I mentioned, 41-27.
Colorado's got Utah at Kansas and home against OK State.
Yep.
And win it all, you're in the Big 12 title game with a chance to go to
the playoffs.
To the playoff, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Boise State, Ashton Jeanty does it again.
Another 200-yard rushing.
And again, I just ask anyone, how the hell is he not the front runner for the Heisman?
Especially with how Cam Ward played?
Exactly.
The only one that I could see maybe stealing it is Hunter. Hunter, that's it.
Because I've been advocating for Ashton all year long.
So what was Barry's record?
I don't know. Look that up.
Yep. Sanders rushing record 2,600 yards. He's not doing that in 4 games.
No, he's not.
Because he's only at 17 right now.
Right.
So he needs another 1,000 yards to break it. I could see him getting to 23.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about they have to make the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Oh, the second to last game that they're playing, that's gonna be tough. They're at Wyoming at 7:00 at night.
Interesting.
Which means it's gonna be like 3 degrees.
Interesting.
Because it's Wyoming at night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. No. But 209, 34 carries. I mean, he's insane. He's rushing the ball like I said, he's the closest thing to people are seeing like as Barry Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, the only one that I could see beating him
is Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter, because he plays both sides of the ball extremely well.
So you're kind of in agreement with me. Ashton is the front runner right now.
I thought he would have been locked without a shadow of a doubt in if he broke Barry's record. But because now you're talking about there's pretty much no way that he can do it, it's going to be very interesting to see where things go.
Yeah.
Because I could see him getting the Heisman.
I could too. Anything else you want to talk about in college football?
I do want to say one thing that college football did decide to drop very secretly that no one talked about.
What's that?
They dropped the non-conference games for week 1 for next year. Would you like to know Would you like to know what the night game is looking like for either the 28th or the 1st?
I would.
It is Catholics versus convicts.
Are you talking Miami versus Notre Dame?
Yep.
Wow.
And it looks like it's in Miami, so if I had to guess, it's going to be at Hard Rock.
Oh, oh my goodness, I can't wait.
We're not even done with this year, and I saw this. I'm like,
goodness.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, I remember when they last played in 2017 and how excited I was because you look at that program and you just look at all the legendary names who have played there. Ray for both programs. I mean, Ray. Here, this is the Hurricanes. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Warren Sapp, Michael Irvin, Edgerrin James. Who else?
Ed, Ed Reed.
I mentioned him.
Yeah, fucking Warren Sapp.
Notre Dame.
Warren Sapp, The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock. I mentioned. I didn't even get to Notre Dame. Jerome Bettis, Joe Montana, Tim Brown, and everyone I damn near listed are all Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Devin Hester, Hall of Famer. Edgerrin James, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, really? That's either it's supposed to be Friday night or it's going to be Monday night. I have a feeling it's going to be Labor Day.
Oh, that's beautiful. Or make it the Sunday night game.
No, they already announced the Sunday night game.
What's the Sunday night game?
South Carolina, Vatech.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling Notre Dame. That needs to be a standalone. Notre Dame, Miami needs to be the standalone.
Man, Notre Dame and Miami with Herbie and Chris Fowler on the call on a Sunday night. Come on now.
Oh, I agree. And I'm looking at the other ones. There's week one. It's very hard to pull from anything big. Like your Georgia game this year is Syracuse, Tennessee. Okay, maybe that might be interesting, but that shouldn't be a big game.
Yeah.
And if Florida State pulls their head out of their ass, you have Oregon. You have Alabama versus Florida State is another game.
Oh, come on, man, that's a scrimmage.
I said it depends. If they pull their head out of their ass, maybe.
Man, that's a scrimmage. I said what I said, too.
So, there is one final bit of news that I want your honest opinion on.
Okay, let me hear it.
It's something that dropped Saturday, and it has to do with eligibility when it comes to playing JUCO or junior college in D2.
Mm-hmm.
Diego Pavia, the quarterback for Vanderbilt, New Mexico State, originally from New Mexico State, has sued NCAA.
Okay.
For eligibility because of the players playing in, say, JUCO or D1, or not D1, D2, D3.
Right.
For eligibility where he's saying that shouldn't count towards a player's eligibility towards D1.
Okay. Especially
more leaning towards JUCO because the NCAA does not promote the junior college league.
No, it doesn't. It never has.
No, it never has. I mean, I've seen them promote D2, D1 for a couple times, but they mostly promote FCS and FBS. But right. So what he's trying to do is he wants to pretty much say if you play in those and you're only there, those are your eligibility. But if you can get into a D1, you can subtract a year or maybe two.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting how this all pans out.
Yeah, because of the NIL deal, now it's more of a job because, let's face it, D2, D3 schools are not paying any type of NIL deal.
Now, okay, on the topic of NIL, do you feel NIL is helping college sports or is it hurting college sports?
the original idea for NIL was supposed to be for other places to go out and pay these kids to do car commercials. If they wanted to do something for, say, FanDuel, they wanted to do a local pizza commercial and get these guys money in their pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's turned into, and this is where it hurts, where the colleges are now using this as free agency. That's where I have an issue with this. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, if they stuck to what the original NIL was supposed to be, so if like a car company wants to bring them in to sign autographs, they pay the kid. They couldn't do that before. That's what the NIL needs to be.
Yeah, because I remember Nick Saban when the whole NIL thing came up, when he was asked about it, should these young men get paid? And he just flat out came out and said no. And I'm just saying to myself, I'm like, look, these kids that put their body on the line for you are the reason why you're living in that mansion right now.
Now, I think if he means... Now, the question is no one ever knew what Nick Saban meant. If we're talking about, oh, these kids should not be getting paid by the school, he's 1,000% correct.
Oh, if it's by the school, then yeah,
now,
he is right.
Now, but if it's something like, hey, the school wants you to go out and do this autograph signing for an appearance and you don't get paid, that's where I have an issue, because then they're making their money off of these kids.
Yeah, or you're selling their jersey and these kids aren't getting a dime of that money.
Now, if you're talking about that as the NIL deal, which what it should be, fine. That's what it should be. But if you're telling me that should a kid be paid by the school? No, because what's the point? Because if they drop out of college, well, then are you paying them?
Right.
If you tie that to their scholarship, that's one thing, but you're not. You're seeing Shedeur Sanders making $1 million a year. And also, too, it was never meant for the football team. That's the other thing people don't understand. It was never meant for football. It was never meant for basketball. It was meant for the guys in the swimming team, the golf team, the kids that couldn't go get a part-time job and weren't getting exposure going into the NBA or the NFL.
Right.
It was meant for Livy Dunn. It was meant for someone like that. I mean, it was meant for Caitlin Clark, even though she was getting what she was getting going into WNBA. But it was meant because, let's face it, no one was paying any attention to women's college basketball at that time.
No, they weren't. You're absolutely right.
It was meant for the tennis player, the golf player. It was meant for them so they could go on TikTok and monetize their name. It wasn't meant to be free agency in college football.
Exactly. But I do want to say this, though. Nick Saban, back on the topic of Nick Saban is a treasure on College Game Day.
Yes, he is. You put him with McAfee. It's some of the funniest shit in the world.
Yes, it is. Anything else you want to touch on before we go, college football wise? Anything
no.
college football wise?
No, unless you want to say something about Ben.
Yeah. I'm a pet parent. You guys hear me reference my dog, Siebes, all the time. Either he's clawing at my door to get in, which I'm surprised he hasn't done yet as I'm recording this episode, or he's right at my feet, or he's laying behind me. I know everything that Kirk Herbstreit is dealing with right now. It is the toughest thing that you have to do. And trust me, I've heard ignorant comments where you put a dog down and people say, oh, why don't you just get another one? That is the most disrespectful thing you could say. Ben became a star. I mean, everywhere, every time you saw Kirk, you always saw Ben with him. So, for him to have, that comfort dog with him, it really says something. And I mean, I've done what he's had to do. those of you who know me, I did have two dogs at one time. I had a Yorkie named Jazz, and then obviously, I still have my Lhasa Apso named Siebes. And, Jazz was getting up there in age to the point where something just wasn't right. And unfortunately, I had to put him down on December 20th, 2019. That's a week after my birthday. I was so down and I was so devastated that I couldn't even celebrate Christmas. Again, seeing Kirk on college game day, just getting so choked up, and just seeing Lee Corso really console him, that really made me happy because I love their relationship, and Kirk has often referred to Lee Corso as another dad. You get what I'm saying? And my heart goes out to Kirk because again, I've been in his shoes. I know exactly where he's coming from. And I know exactly how he's feeling. Like this is not easy. Yeah, man, dogs make the world a better place. They really do. I really would be lost without mine. Um, yes, he's spoiled to the core, but you know what? I really don't care. Um, yeah, dogs just add so much more value to your life, and it was cool seeing him bring another one of his dogs. I think this dog's name was Peter, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, man, your heart just goes out to Kirk and everyone who was impacted by Ben. Anything you want to add to that, Ronnie?
No, you pretty much got it right.
Yeah, well, on that note, we're gonna go to the phone lines again. R.I.P. to Ben Herbstreit, and thoughts go out to Kirk Herbstreit. I have such a great admiration for him. He is so knowledgeable of this game and kind of model a lot of what I do after him. I mean, I knew he was good with the college game, but he's just as good calling NFL games as well. And I'm just wishing him the best of luck through the rest of the season. And your prayers are just with him because putting a dog down and losing that companionship it's tough. I mean, the saying really is true. Dogs really are man's best friend. Um, but on another note, that's all we have for college football. We're gonna go to the phone lines. You're gonna hear some music, and we're gonna talk some NFL. We're gonna look ahead to Monday Night Football. I'm gonna promote. We're gonna end the show, and then I'm gonna be on my way to go do the Prime on Prime Sports World. This is Monday Evening Quarterback on Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, Blog Talk Radio, and the Nerdport Network.
Okay, we are good on record.
That was good.
Yeah, that was.
All right, man. Do what you gotta do.
I mean, yeah. Let me go take a piss real quick, and then and then we'll get shit back in order.
All right, cool. All right, man.
Hey, hon. Did you see Emma's post? Emma's post? Oh, go look at her Instagram when you get a chance. You gotta see what she did. We're about to do the NFL, and we should be done in like 30 minutes. All right. Typical fucking Jets right now. Just can't tackle worth shit. This. Oh, that's a. Oh my God! He just took his fucking. He just took his head off. He hit him so hard he cleaned his head off. Holy shit, Quinnen. Oh! Oh my God! Did anyone see the truck that just hit him? Oh my God!
Yes, Steve. All right, Ronnie, I'm back.
Alright, yeah, Quinnen Williams just almost took off, what's his name's freaking helmet.
Yeah, I just saw that shit.
Oh my God.
Motherfucker.
Anyone see that bus? They just hit him. Holy shit.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah,
Crazy,
but they still
right?
can't. They still can't fucking tackle though.
No, they can't. No, they can't. All right, you ready to wrap this thing up?
Yep. Let me just in three. Whenever you're ready. You good?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hold on. If this will hit the record. Really? You're gonna now be difficult? Huh. That's a first. Really? Of course now it's being difficult.
Wow, what's it doing?
It's not letting me hit the record. That's funny.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean,